Welcome to this episode of the Growthcast. It's me, Jackson Campbell, joined again with Dallas Pruitt for another Saturday extended cut. Dallas, how you doing this morning?
Dude, I'm doing great. We are twinning and winning once again. We're all blacked out today.
We're all blacked out.
Great minds think alike.
It is what it is.
You know?
Yes, great minds do think alike. Awesome. Before we dive into today's episode, I'm going to ask Dallas a very poignant question.
Yeah.
But before I do that, I just want to jump in and say thank you to everybody that sent us feedback on our last Saturday extended cut. We got a ton of feedback answering y'all's questions and the problems y'all are seeing. So we wanted to extend an invitation to everybody as well to send in any topic y'all would like us to talk about, any struggles that y'all might be having. Send them in to Dallas and I. Now, Dallas and I aren't perfect by any means, but we love hearing these things and hopefully providing a little bit of mindset tips and a little bit of guidance on how you could overcome these struggles and these problems that you're having. So please do send those in. We loved addressing those, and y'all apparently loved listening to them too, because we got a ton of feedback on those. Dallas, anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, that was just valuable across the board. Bringing those in is extremely valuable for us because it gives us better direction, right? It gives us better focus to be able to bring more to the table for you. And again, it's just that reciprocating value principle, right? Like, so let's live that thing out, and please flood us with all of those. We'll start to prioritize and get a strategy put together to be able to deliver regularly on those questions. And thank you for those that reached out and shared how impactful last Saturday's episode was for you and that specific struggle of balancing work and family time. You hopefully also recognize like how not alone you are in trying and striving to figure that out better and better with time. And hopefully what we were able to provide you helped a ton. So we appreciate you all reaching out.
Yes, definitely send those in. We want to keep doing those. Yes, Dallas, thank you for that. Awesome. Dallas, the question that I wanted to ask yourself today, and if you want to ask me it afterwards, I can also answer this question, but I want to know maybe 3 things you wish you could tell your younger self.
Ooh.
3 things you can wish. Now that you've studied all this mindset, right? You've studied mindset for a long time. You've studied those growth principles, Carol Dweck, Ryan Holiday, all of these people that you study. What would you tell your younger self, knowing everything that you know now?
Sheesh. I really wish I could have went like through a school when I was 15 to 18 years old that taught me all that stuff. Unfortunately, my school system was not set up that way. I don't think there is one. Maybe we should create one.
No.
Maybe we should create one.
Hey, I like that idea.
That's a great idea.
I like that idea.
But man, if I had it's really hard to pinpoint like a couple very specific, limited, I guess, list of things. But in essence, or, in light of the show, we'll try to boil it down. I would say a couple things, dude. I would tell a younger version of Dallas Pruitt, that you need to relax. Like simply put, I would say, D, you need to relax and quit getting worked up about just unimportant things that consume your mind.
Did you get worked up as a child?
Oh man, dude, I got worked up. You don't
get worked up now, so that kind of surprises me.
I got worked up as a child. I got worked up as a teenager. I stressed a lot about the things I couldn't control. I guess I realized like in my 20s, like I was a big control freak,
Yeah.
I realized like when I really started to tackle my career, it kind of came to the forefront where it was like, oh my gosh, you stress out about all these things that like you have no control over. Right. And so, but I would also say like, it wasn't just that. It's like my parents' approval. I was always stressing out about my parents' approval. That bled into adulthood, right? It even like surfaces every blue moon at 35. Yeah. I know now, like sure. That doesn't matter. And I cut it off the second it ever starts to bleed in. But what people said of me, what they thought of me, my image, job interviews, like I would stress out about the job interview, I like early 20s, mid 20s. Like I was so hell bent on becoming this high level, person in the industry I was in. man, I would literally focus on the interview all day long until 5 o'clock, until the interview actually happened. Like that was like on the forefront of my mind. And then I'd get in it and you realize it's not as bad as you thought it was going to be. And you probably made it worse by focusing on it all day long. And so I would tell a younger version of Dallas, like, dude, you got to quit worrying. Like, just focus on cultivating good character. Right. Breathe.
That's huge.
Like, and I think, like that wasn't my focus. Like, even though I wanted to have good character, I spent most of my time trying to like increase the accolades that I had and
to prove something.
Through material things, through titles, through recognition, through whatever it was, parent approval. And it was just like, wow, that's not what matters. Like,
that's not what you should be focusing on. What produces
a great life is just focusing on cultivating good character, become a hard worker, work hard, do hard things, learn more about yourself.
That right there is an actionable in itself, right? Is look at almost what you're saying is you're saying relax. You're telling your younger self to relax, but it's almost like you're also telling your younger self, quit looking outwards for approval and look inwards for approval.
Yeah.
Right. Look inward for those things. And I think that's an important principle that not only you could probably tell your younger self, but that I think we can remind ourselves and tell ourselves even now every single day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think this is a trap that a lot of people fall into, not just our younger selves, but our current selves as well.
That was funny because I thought the same thing. I thought you could tell your other self.
Yeah.
This is not just like your younger self, but you could also tell your other self that pops up every once in a while, these exact same things. Building on it, something else that I would also tell my other self or my younger self is to quit thinking so much. I really think like that, those two things tie perfectly into one another. Relax, right? And quit getting worked up about unimportant things. Well, I got worked up because I overthought all the time. And got stuck in that overthinking process. We were discussing overthinking this morning, right?
We were.
And the direction I would give my younger self is to like, just pause and just pay more attention, right? To the things around you, to the people around you, to the things that excite you, to the things that get you going, to the way things make you feel, right? Pay attention to some different voices, like open your perspective up a little bit. That would be a directive I'd give my younger self. Get to know yourself truly. Don't just follow the flow of the crowd. I would tell my younger self to have courage and to go against that grain. I did all the things that my friends did, and it was fun, dude. They weren't bad, but I didn't love everything that everybody did or that I was told to do or the ideals that I lived by because my dad told me that's what I should be doing and shouldn't be doing, and letting other people dictate my interests. Though, I mean, it didn't produce bad. Most of it was just fine.
Yeah.
But it didn't, meaning it was safe, right? Like, but it didn't all produce happiness. It didn't all produce motivation and drive and flow, actual flow state for me. Like, football didn't do that. I played football because it was a thing to do. And dude, I remember a specific experience in my life when I was a sophomore in high school and I finally had some courage to stop playing football.
Yeah.
I was a good football player. I wasn't great. I wasn't going to be a D1 athlete, but I was a good athlete. I was a starter. And my whole family would come watch these games. They loved it. Right? I never did. When I got to I never loved football.
Yeah.
It wasn't the work that I didn't like. I just didn't love football.
Yeah,
I was disinterested. I wanted to do other stuff at that time and season. And I remember I had the courage to go tell my dad I didn't want to play football. And I remember him being like, no, you're basically like, you're going to play football. That's what you do.
Yeah. Okay.
And I remember just being like, it was a tough situation for me. And I had to go talk to my coach and I had to tell him like, hey man, like not coming to 2-a-days anymore. Like I've decided I'm going to do X. I appreciate you. And like, what do you think the conversation was there? What are you doing? Like, dude, you're our starting strong safety. Like, what are you doing? And it was like, I'm doing me. Yeah. I'm going to have the courage to go do me and figure some things out. And so I would tell my younger self and my other self, like, have the courage to not just do what everybody's doing because it's the cool thing to do, or, quote unquote, the right thing to do.
Right.
Listen to yourself more and have the courage to follow through with whatever that self is telling you.
Yeah, man. I like that a lot. And as you're speaking, one thing that keeps coming back into my head is stillness is the key. One of the principles that you talk about all the time. It's take that time to quit thinking so much and notice, like you said, notice what makes you happy and then make decisions off of that. Now pay more attention to those things that make you tick. I love that. And like you said, dude, having that courage to be able to first get to know yourself and then be able to make decisions in line with what your purpose is, your character is, and what it is that you want to do. I think that's a great reminder, not just something that we could tell our younger self, but our other self as well, right? It's a great reminder.
The other one that I'll do one last one, and then I want to flip this back. We might not have time to go through, a whole list, but I want to hear from you. I want to hear at least one from you, which I guess is great, right? Because I'm a little bit older than you, so I guess you can't go as far back. We'll stick to one or whatever, right? Yeah. So, but the other one that I would tell my younger self, and this really is specifically to my younger self, not just my other self as well. But specifically to my younger self is that a strong mind is way more important than a strong body. And I think there's this vain, factor that we all have when we're younger, and not even just younger. There's this vain factor that we can all fall into as adults, as people, as human beings. And, it's like there's so much emphasis on, like, when we talk about health or athletics or whatever, so much emphasis on the way your physique, the way you look, and what you're doing to take care of your quote unquote body. And it's like, well, your body is controlled by some other muscle. And I think it's important for young people, a younger Dallas, to know that a strong mind can actually produce a strong body. But if you flip that, it doesn't work. It's not as easy. I mean, it does have an impact, right? Like building a strong body definitely does things for you mentally, but a strong body is not what produces a strong mind. You can have a very, very weak mind and be extremely strong. Very true. Right? Very true. Physically. Yeah. And so that's something that I would tell the younger version of Dallas, specifically that, teenage version coming into, a more physical body, girls, all that stuff, preparing for life to hit me head on. I would tell him, hey, bro, take care of your mind. Take care of your mind. And there's a lot of ways in which you can do that right now and learn how to do it and get better with time. And a strong mind is definitely way more important than a strong body. I would tell Dallas Pruitt at 15, 16, 17, 18. That would probably be one of the loudest messages I sent his way, for sure. Yeah.
And it's one of those things that needs to be, that's awesome. That's an awesome thing to tell your younger self. And I totally agree on that. I have a follow-up question. Yeah. So it was around 16 and 17. You realized that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's 16, 17. 17?
You realize that a strong mind's more important than a strong body?
No. I hear your question. I would tell my 16, 17-year-old self that.
Oh, gotcha.
Unfortunately, and I guess fortunately, because it's given me the opportunities that I now have in my life and helped me learn and become who I am. Dude, I probably didn't start learning that until, I did, not uber direct, right? Like there were things that happened growing up that showcased the importance of that. But dude, I'm trying to remember like any one specific time where I had that huge aha in terms of mental health. But where it became extremely paramount for me, came to the forefront of everything on life, was when I was thrown into the fire of being the behavior specialist, mental health specialist for a school district. And I worked with 15, 16, 17-year-old students and went to funerals of my students who had committed suicide and sat in meetings with parents of these students day in and day out and watched this epidemic firsthand, had a front row seat, to the mental health epidemic that the world is undergoing right now. That's where I really started to come into like a full recognition of that important factor. And we think, and this is me getting on my soapbox for 2 seconds before this is not normal, but we think, and I do mean the tone to stick. We think that when we talk about mental health, we're talking about everybody else. We are talking about us as a whole. We have issues as human beings. Mental health is not something that others go through. Mental health is a priority for everybody. Should be, needs to be. And if that's the one message you got from today, and that you ever get from the freaking Growthcast, I hope it sticks forever, because, you know, I worked in that space, and so many adults would come in thinking, well, these are these issues that we're dealing with, and we would never reflect on like how we've contributed, what we're undergoing, how we're providing more problems than solutions to the issue, and how we can really better address this whole like stigma and whatever that revolves around mental health. Hey, let's all just come to the light that mental health should become a priority for everybody. We all have issues, and there's a lot of things we can be doing to take better care of that mind. And we will all be better for it if we all jump on that freaking bandwagon. So, yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. You were going to ask me what's one thing that I could tell my younger self. And it's right along those lines, dude. It's right along those lines. One thing that I would tell my younger self is you never know what other people are going through. So to always keep that into perspective as well, right? Right along those lines of mental health, you never know where somebody's at there. You never do. So just to keep that in mind, that's one thing that I would tell my younger self, is have that empathy for people and to have that sort of perspective when you're talking to people and not jump to conclusions so quick. But I couldn't agree with you more.
And you do that so well.
More of a priority. Thanks, brother.
Let's get a bonus then. If you already jumped into the one and built on that, I want to hear another thing. If you could go back and tell Jackson Campbell in good old St. George, Utah, at Pine Valley High School. Pine View, my bad. Pine Valley does not have a high school. There's like 10 people that live in Pine Valley. What would you tell Jackson Campbell? What's one more thing you would tell Jackson Campbell?
Man, it is a good question, and I haven't really thought it over. If I'm being completely honest with you, I haven't really thought this one over, dude. But one thing that I would tell my younger self is, I really like how you said relax. I was a very stressed out kid, worried about everything else other than myself. So really, something that I would tell my younger self is worry about you more.
Yeah.
Put yourself first a little bit more. You know what I mean? Put your mental health and your physical health and your needs first. And by doing that, it actually has a huge impact on others more than it's kind of this reverse mentality, right? That's what I've learned, right? That's what I've learned. The more that I pour into me and take care of me, the more ability that I have to be able to pour into and help and serve in whatever capacity is necessary for other people. So that's exactly what I've learned. That's great, man. What I tell myself. Yeah. That's great. I love it. Well, whether it's your younger self or your other self, these are some actionables. These are some ways in which you can change the trajectory of your life. And one thing that you just said too, man, is when you said relax there at the end, it made me think of this. And I don't know if we want to close out on this. I'm going to turn it over to you to close it out. But it all works out, right? It's funny. We do this and it's just like we're talking even prior to our recording today. And we all have these heavy things that weigh us down and we stress out about. And, you know, my wife always has a way of coming in and being like, honey, but like, look at us. Yeah. Like, yeah. And she's like, tune in. We're here. Yeah. We made it. We're good. It's going to all get figured out. Relax. Put these things to work. That's one way in which you can allow yourself and fulfill on that relaxed component more, is just do your homework, learn more about these things that produce, and, get a little bit better every day. And actually by doing that, it gives you a better platform to be able to
relax a little bit, So
Absolutely.
I love it, dude. It was great.
Absolutely. Dallas, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Again, and everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the podcast. Please do rate and review and share if you haven't yet. And thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day and take care, y'all.